Beata of being child abusers.
Jack called me and said Beata just hung herself.
Is the hospital they're suing responsible for what happened?
The Take Care of Maya trial. Trial coverage today on Court TV.
Welcome back. Now it's time to talk about what is tipping the scales of justice in Florida. Well, first, with the Boy in a Box trial, Tim Ferreter opted not to take the stand, meaning each side had the chance to tip the scales with their closing arguments.
Over the course of the time that was in Jupiter, Florida in December 2021 through January 2022, he was subjected to treatment by his parents, including his father, Timothy Ferreter, that was cruel, heinous, and malicious. That under or behind the facade of an ordinary family, there was the treatment and isolation, the systematic isolation and confinement of when he was 14 years old, in that room, in their garage. This systemic way in which he was forced to live is a crime.
There is not one moment that I want you to think that this defense is about whether or not deserved the treatment that he got, because it is not. Or that the fact that he is vulnerable or had medical issues from early childhood is justification for what happened, because it is not. However, we are in a criminal courtroom, and what you have to determine is whether an act, a horrible act of parenting, a bad act of parenting, bad choices amount to a crime. And in this case, they do not.
Oh, so what do you think, my friends? Was either side able to tip the scales of justice? In your opinion, let me bring in Court TV's Matt Johnson, attorney Joe Tamburino, and a brand new guest on opening statements, Dr. John DeGarmo. Dr. John, welcome to you. Anxious to get your thoughts overall on this. As to the tipping the scales question, Matt, you and I have been talking so much. Your thoughts after the closings?
Well, I was watching Tim Ferreter, who chose not to take the stand in his own defense, which was a surprise to all of us. Because he's a narcissist, right? But anyway, I was watching him, and he was breathing heavy during the state's closing, and I was thinking, oh, and she was bringing in all the major points that you were talking about in your assessment of the situation. They kept on nailing home the fact that he was in a box. He was in a box. And then I don't think that his defense attorney did any justice for him, helping him.
Right, I didn't either. Joe Tamburino, to you on that question. You practice criminal defense in Minnesota. What did you think of the closings, particularly the defense close?
I didn't think much of it, and boy, there were so many objections, and rightfully so. But here's what I don't understand. If you're going to reject a plea bargain of 2 years, which seems like a pretty good plea bargain in this case, why not testify? You've got nothing to lose. Why is he even going to trial? This is perplexing.
Right, Joe. I know he rejected that plea agreement, 24 months behind bars and probation. That's it. Oh. But overall, this case, it has a lot of you at home, your blood boiling. I know all of us here at Court TV. I mean, it is just stunning and sickening what happened to this boy. Dr. John DeGarmo, you are an expert in parenting, in foster care. You know so much about this. What is your overall assessment of what happened to the Ferreter boy, please?
Oh, my first thought was this is child abuse. This is child abuse. I've seen that they're saying about reactive attachment disorder. I've had many kids come through my home with reactive attachment disorder, and in no way is this any sort of treatment whatsoever. What's happening to this child is it's only going to exacerbate the mental health issues he's going to have. This isolation is going to exacerbate issues of trust and attachment, and if anything, it's going to make his reactive attachment disorder much worse. This is true child abuse.
Right, Dr. John. You'd be a tremendous expert witness on this one. And the state really did put in a solid expert. I want to have him on our show one day. The defense expert witness, in my opinion, wasn't quite as strong. But those pictures we were showing as we were talking, of the courtroom live this morning. The jury is set to be brought back this morning to begin their deliberations. And our team is there. We're in the courtroom. As soon as we hear anything, we will let you know. Question anything at all. We've also got the Take Care of Maya civil case happening in Florida as well. And today is going to be a huge day in that one, too, as all three of the Kowalski family members are going to be recalled to the stand by their attorney. We expect this to be very emotional testimony today. Let's take a look back to some of what we've seen already.
The last time I saw my mom, my dad wasn't there. I was laying in the bed.
This is while you're in your room. Did you go back
Still
up?
in the PICU.
Still in the PICU?
Still in the PICU, yes.
So this is pretty close to when you checked in? Or
yes.
got admitted?
Yes. I know I was still in the PICU. My mom was like picking up her work bag and just like little things she had brought to the hospital, and she said, "I love you and I'll see you tomorrow." And I never saw her again.
Just heartbreaking, that family and what they've gone through. Whether or not there will be liability, that's another question. We still haven't seen what the defense has to present here. But in terms of what the family went through with the separation of Maya being separated from her mom, from her brother, from her dad, Dr. John DeGarmo, I want to go back to you on this one, please. How does that affect a child when they're suddenly put in the state's care, unable to be with their parent, especially a child in a situation like this with so many medical difficulties?
Well, it's a great question. I've heard so many times over the years. I've had over 60 plus kids come through my home as a foster parent, and I recognize very quickly that being placed into a foster care home, however stable, however unconditional loving it might be, it's still going to be a time of anxiety because they've been removed from everything that they know, their norms, and placed into a place that's completely unfamiliar to them. There's going to be lots of questions. Why am I here? When do I go home? Will I ever see my mother again? Does anybody love me? So it's a time of true anxiety. And right now we're in a pandemic of mental health. And these type of issues are just going to increase mental health issues in children.
Appreciate it, Dr. John. Joe Tamburino, I want to talk to you, please, about the way the plaintiff's counsel is fashioning this case, having already called Maya, Kyle, and Dad to the stand, and now he's going to recall all three of them to have testimony come in about damages, about the money, the financial losses at stake here. Joe, what do you think about the way he's doing this with the witnesses, please?
I've been quite impressed. I mean, I thought at the beginning of this case it was going to be very difficult to prove liability, to prove that Johns Hopkins, the Children's Hospital, was liable basically for Beata's suicide. However, I think the plaintiffs have put in a solid case. They really have. And I like this tactic of you had all of these individuals testify, but now you're going to bring them back in order to show the financial damages and other types of damages. And you're doing that right before the defense starts its case. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with what the plaintiffs have done.
Definitely, Joe. Thank you for that. Matt Johnson, last but certainly not least on the Kowalski case, tell us what tips the scales for you as you're watching this, watching the kids, the dad, looking at the trial with a keen eye. What's really jumping out at you, please?
I think that what we're seeing nationwide with all of the courties weighing in and all of the people there in the courtroom and the gallery that have no connection to the case, I think that it pulls on people's heartstrings. You have a loss of life. You have a family that was torn apart and kept from each other. So I really think that that's a bell that is going to be really hard to unring, even though the defendant in all of this, they have a lot of money and they are going to present their case very well with a lot of experts over weeks that we will anticipate.
Right, Matt. That's a great point. We shouldn't count out the defense. Certainly it's heartbreaking.
It is.
But whether or not there was any illegality here, anything that would give rise to, a big windfall, of money for this family is a whole nother question. We know that case is starting up, as is the case in Florida with Tim Ferreter. And so what we're going to be doing is pivoting as we start Court TV Live in a moment. I want to say thank you to Dr. Dr. John DeGarmo for coming on opening statements today. Dr. John, we would love to have you back. We've got to say goodbye to you right now. Joe Tamburino, you're going to kindly stay with us as we head into our 10 o'clock hour. This is going to be a big hour.
Yeah,
who knows how soon we'll see those kids on the stand. And Matt Johnson, we'll be seeing much more of you later today on Court TV. Thank you so much. Here's what we're going to do, folks. Let's look live in Florida at Tim Ferritter right now. This is him, wife Tracy behind him as she's been every day. They're getting ready for really the moment of truth, the moment of the jury deliberations. What will this jury find? We'll get a live report from Julia Janae coming up right after this break and testimony.